Most coaches begin the season by teaching offense. John Wooden began by teaching his players how to tie their shoes. That sounds almost ridiculous until you understand why. Because John Wooden believed championships were built long before anyone stepped onto the court. John Wooden won 10 NCAA basketball championships in 12 seasons. No coach has ever matched that record. He coached players who became professionals, All-Americans, and champions. Most people assume that's why John Wooden is remembered. I don't think it is. If championships were enough, history would have forgotten hundreds of coaches. Wooden is remembered because he taught something far more important than basketball. He taught people how to live. And strangely enough, it all began with a pair of shoes. Every season began with the same lesson. Coach Wooden asked his players to sit down. Then he showed them how to put on their socks, smooth the fabric, remove every wrinkle, then lace your shoes carefully, pull them tight, double knot them. Some of the best basketball players in America sat there watching the greatest coach in the game explain something they had done since childhood. Why? Because Wooden knew what happened next. Wrinkled socks become blisters. Blisters become pain. Pain becomes distraction. Distraction becomes mistakes. Mistakes lose games. The lesson was never really about shoes. It was about humility. Greatness begins when we're willing to learn what we think we already know. The best athletes in America still had something to learn. So do we. Our world measures success by outcomes. Wins, promotions, money, awards, followers. John Wooden measured something entirely different. He wrote, "Success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable." Read that carefully. There is no mention of winning, no trophies, no comparisons. Success wasn't beating someone else. Success was becoming the person God created you to become. Sometimes winning follows. Sometimes it doesn't. But character is never determined by the scoreboard. Wooden often reminded his players, little things make big things happen. That wasn't just a slogan. He lived it. Practice always began on time. Equipment was cared for. Players respected one another. Every drill mattered. Every pass mattered. Every conversation mattered. There was no such thing as an unimportant habit. Today, we often chase dramatic transformation. We want motivation, one inspiring speech, one breakthrough moment. Wooden believed something quieter. Our lives are changed by ordinary habits repeated faithfully. That sounds remarkably familiar. Virtue itself is formed exactly that way, not by one heroic decision, but by thousands of ordinary ones. Eventually, Wooden organized his philosophy into what became known as the pyramid of success. People often notice the top, competitive greatness, poise, confidence. But Wooden never started there. He started at the bottom. Industriousness, friendship, loyalty, cooperation, enthusiasm. Think about that. The foundation of greatness wasn't talent. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't athletic ability. It was character. One story illustrates this perfectly. Former players often recalled that Wooden rarely screamed from the sideline. Instead, he corrected quietly, patiently, constantly. He believed a coach's job wasn't to embarrass a player, it was to teach him. Because correction given with respect builds confidence instead of fear. Wooden understood something every parent, every teacher, every coach, and every leader should remember. People grow best when they know they are loved enough to be corrected. John Wooden retired decades ago. The players have grown old, the championships gathered dust, but his influence continues. Why? Because his philosophy was never really about basketball. Basketball was simply the classroom. The real lesson was becoming the kind of person others can trust, a trustworthy teammate, spouse, parent, friend, leader. Those are victories no scoreboard can measure. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus teaches, "Whoever is faithful in very little is faithful also in much." John Wooden never claimed to be teaching that passage, but he lived it. Faithful in socks, faithful in shoes, faithful in practice, faithful in preparation, faithful in people. Long before championships were won, character had already been formed. Perhaps that's why John Wooden continues to inspire so many people. Not because he built one of the greatest basketball dynasties in history, but because he reminded us that excellence begins with humility. Greatness begins with ordinary faithfulness, and the person you become will always matter more than the trophies you collect. Thank you for watching the Virtue Playbook. If this reflection encouraged you, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone striving to become not merely successful, but truly virtuous. Until next time, keep building the habits that build the person.